So normally I do these standing outside the vehicle to start talking to you, but I am in Phoenix, Arizona, and the temperature right now reads 104 degrees. So instead, I'm doing this from the comfort of the 2023 Escalade-V. Is now the time to be launching a gas-chugging 682 horsepower full-size SUV? I'll leave that bit up to you, but what I will tell you is that the 2023 Cadillac Escalade-V is wonderful on the inside, nice and tough looking on the outside, and far quicker than it has any right to be. For the V, Cadillac is pumping up the aggressiveness of the exterior. That's a harder task than you'd think, since this is a 3-box brick of a thing and not a slick coupe, sedan, or wagon. To help the V version of Caddy's big rig, the automaker has blacked out the trim, shoved 4 exhaust tips out back, and reworked the front and rear fascias. Oh, and there's a sizable V badge on the door and unique 22-inch wheels wearing a 275 square stance setup for the tires. Slide inside and it's as luxurious as you'd expect an Escalade of this nature to be. There's a mix of zebra wood trim and leather. You'll find a V badge on the steering wheel, and up ahead of the driver sits a massive 38-inch curved OLED panel. Additionally, the nav system utilizes augmented reality to plot your directions in an easy-to-see manner. Important when you're dipping your throttle pedal ever deeper into the floorboards. If you want to hear a different sort of noise, the AKG 36 speaker sound system is quite frankly amazing. It's nice in here because it's basically the platinum trim. I like that it's not faux carbon fiber or yards of suede. It feels luxurious, and it should. Now, the meat of why we're here lives up there behind the camera under the hood. It's a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 producing 682 horsepower and 653 pound-feet of torque. This is a hand-built engine using similar architecture as that found on the CT5V Blackwing. One of the main differences, though, is the larger supercharger helps with the inlet pressures demanded of by the monster Escalade. There are also larger rotors inside, so this supercharger moves 2.65 liters of air with each rotation. Paired with the 10-speed gearbox and full-time active all-wheel drive system, the big rig will hustle from 0 to 60 in under 4.4 seconds per GM's internal testing. So after only a relatively short time behind the wheel, about an hour or so, I'm here to tell you that this thing is far more brilliant than I expected. The steering is wonderfully progressive, where it builds pressure in corners. It's not just this lifeless electronic power steering tuning, and that's really appreciated when you're hustling a vehicle of this size quickly through some Arizona backcountry freeway roads, passing U-Hauls that are nearly the same size as you. The engine is ridiculous. 682 horsepower is insane in anything, and it's just as insane here, even though this thing has tons of curb weightage. The brakes are more than up to the task. They're 6-piston front Brembos with giant rotors, and anytime I've needed to haul this monster dinosaur in, it does it easily and comfortably. But besides let me get over a lane here. Besides the insanity of it, if I relax everything and I cruise, it's remarkably comfortable. You have magnetic ride control paired with adaptive air suspension. This is an ESV model, so you get a longer wheelbase. So all of that adds up to just a really serene, nice ride. It's comfortable, it's quiet in here. There's some wind noise, there's some road noise, but otherwise it is very nicely built. The seats are comfortable. Everything looks good in front of you. This massive gauge cluster looks nice too. Everything is nicely integrated. So the driving dynamics are far more interesting than I expected. The steering feel is nice, the seat is comfortable, the view is great. And then on top of that, if you just want to cruise, you literally have Super Cruise available, and it works really well. And in this iteration of it, if you set the Super Cruise faster than traffic is moving in front of you and it sees that the lane is open next to you, it will automatically change lanes, get around the slower traffic, and then get back to where you want to be. And that was awesome, and it works seamlessly, comfortably, and the vehicle feels in total control, and that is excellent. But just from the general driving dynamics, it's wild. You can put it into V mode. The exhaust goes insane. It sounds like a 4th of July finale when you let off the throttle. It gets crazy. The vehicle lowers a little bit. The transmission gets sharper. The shifts are like cha-chow, cha-chow. You feel them. There's a clear delineation let me say that again. There's a clear delineation between the different driving modes where you can tell it is in the sport mode. It's a slightly stiffer ride. There's more brake pedal feel applied, which is really interesting. And then you also activate when you put it into V mode by pressing a button ahead of the shift lever. You activate the ability to engage launch control. And it's really simple. If you're at a stop, put your foot full down on the brake, your left foot, put your right foot full down on the throttle. It goes brrr, and then you launch. And it is hilarious every single time. This car is almost, again, hilarious in its extremes because it is a very comfortable, extremely nicely built Escalade, this being the ESV-V, and then it's like a rocket ship that doesn't make sense. This is a time in history where this is the last of these things. It's crazy that Cadillac would make this now. I mean, obviously they started development before gas prices went to the moon, but it's hilarious regardless of that. So there's only going to be a limited run of these, and if you're intrigued in something like this, now is the time to buy it, and then these are going to be gone forever. So enjoy it while it's here. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm happy to report that it does drive far better than I expected. I expected it to be nice inside, which it is. I expected it to be just a highway hauler of butts, which it is, but it is nicer in the corners. It slows down speed far better than I expected. So I'm very pleasantly surprised behind the wheel of the Escalade-V. And then if you need to tow stuff, you still have 7,000 pounds of trailering capability. So it's still useful if you need it to be useful. The big old 275 square stance tires are doing their thing in the corners. It all adds up to a almost shockingly potently massive package. And since I have an open stretch of road in front of me, I'm going to downshift the 10-speed and punch it. This sounds better than the C8 Corvette, and that is ridiculous. So all of this massiveness carries a predictably hefty price tag. The 2023 Cadillac Escalade-V starts at $149,990. If you need more massiveness, you can jump to this ESV, which is $152,990. Is that price crazy? Sure, if you think it's applied to any normal Cadillac Escalade. But then remember, this one is nearly 700 horsepower. Every option Cadillac can throw at it, and you have more room inside compared to pretty much any other super SUV out there. Look, this is a weird time to launch this vehicle, but if you consider this a sort of swan song for maniac, gas-swilling V-Series machines, it makes sense. And I'm happy it's here, but I'm also really happy to see where Cadillac takes the Escalade into the future.